earlier this evening about day drinking with Rihanna, and they took 4 shots of tequila, I thought, wow, that looks fucking glorious and pleasurable. I want to get drunk in the daytime with Rihanna. And it was just a thought. And then I said, no, I'm good. I'm cool, because in February of 2010, I called my friend in the middle of the night to ask him to take away my booze from me and monitor how much Xanax I'm taking, because I had a panic attack that wouldn't go away no matter how much I drank and how many pills I took. And I flooded my bathroom with cold water because I used to shock myself with freezing cold water in the winter just to calm down, because I couldn't get my brain to calm the fuck down. And so my body went through its first separation, really, with alcohol and pills, and it was absolutely terrifying. I ended up in the hospital for a month where they convinced me to take brain drugs, and they convinced me that I had a disease that I had to monitor with more pills for the rest of my life, and that was not true. They sold me a lie, and I ended up leaving that hospital and ordering 2 drinks at the Stonewall Inn later that day. And then I kept drinking for a couple more years while taking pills. And just all in all, just trying to calm down. I could barely leave the front door without taking a few shots of vodka. And I just wanted, to be able to fulfill my dreams. I had some great dreams and ambitions, and I think that scared me because I didn't think I could I didn't think I could show up for it. The work that I had to put into doing a life that resulted in my dreams coming true. I'm supposed to be like a huge writer, director extraordinaire. Like, I'm supposed to be a huge celebrity right now, and none of you guys know my name because of alcoholism, and maybe just because I had some vainglorious, egotistical desires in my past life. And so September 6, 2012, I wake up in my mom's basement. My body's like 250 pounds of like, oh God, I don't know what the fuck happened to my life. I someday I'll get to the gym again if I'm not drunk all day. I'm drinking about a handle of vodka a day, and I'm in pain, and my nervous system is shot, and I'm hungover. My shoulder hurts because I crawled through a broken window the night before because of a big family argument, and I'm barely living. I would just drink in a dark room in the basement all day long, crying to Katy Perry Firework on YouTube, literally all night long. I'd black out at some point before the Titanic sank, and I didn't know what part of the movie I started blacking out at, and I'd kind of re-watch movies over and over again, and then I'd wake up in the morning and re-watch the Rachel Maddow show because I didn't remember what was said on the news. But I remember I watched it, but I didn't really take it in. It went into the eyes, but didn't stay in the memory part of my brain. So that's September, and I go to the doctor, and she gives me a bunch of Valium and says, just take these and go home and stop drinking. And I tell her I drink a bottle of vodka a day. I don't know if I'm going to live. Like, I'm scared. I'm really, really scared to stop drinking. I want to stop, but I don't know what's going to happen. I've looked up the symptoms. I could have a seizure. So I'm freaking out. I go through an absolutely horrifying withdrawal in my mom's basement. And that wasn't the last time. My mom watched me go through that. And then she kept trying to convince me to drink again and go for lunch and have wine. And so a few weeks later, I wake up in a hospital with scars because I pulled out an Ativan drip, and I don't really know what happened, but it was like a 10-day blackout. It's December 2012. I'm really fighting AA. You know, my dream is to one day have an AA talk where I don't mention God and I don't mention the steps, and I prove that I can do it differently than you, because I'm special and arrogant and defiant, but teachable. And I get prescribed another prescription from a doctor at the hospital because they don't really understand addiction. So now I'm on like 5 medications a day to try to fix my brain and stop it from freaking out into panic. And I don't really know what's wrong with me, but I'm afraid to stop taking all these pills because I think if I stop taking them, I'm going to end up back in the hospital because of another psychotic episode of some kind. That time, you know, it felt really nice to be sober again after having a 10-day blackout, basically. I just vaguely remember being in a taxi to the liquor store, wasted. And just like these little moments of just total desperation, I would go to any lengths to give myself completely and fully to booze. I spent all my money I earned in a year at the liquor store, you know, I mean, over a year, but I just remember counting that and just saying like, holy shit, I spend all my fucking money on vodka. That's not enough. I don't have enough. And it was destroying my body. They tried to put me on blood pressure medications. They tried to kind of, I mean, they told me I had elevated liver enzymes and they weren't sure why. And I was probably headed to a pretty early kind of liver failure, cirrhosis, jaundice. I was 26 years old. And so January 7th, 2013, after a 3-week wine experiment, I wake up in a Salvation Army homeless shelter. I'm not sure if the sun is rising or setting, but I'm surrounded by these belligerent, loud, drunk, homeless men, and it's absolute hell. And I can't go home because it's really not safe for me to go home and try to stay sober. And I don't know what to do. I've bargained away all my dreams and hopes for any kind of a successful, normal life, I guess, or even just a normal life. I have surrendered and resigned to my addiction and just clawing at any kind of hope that maybe I can crawl out of this quicksand and climb out of this quicksand and get out and be free for once in my life. And I don't know how I'm ever going to stop. And then in October 27th, 2013, I stay in bed for 3 days after a short relapse. I kind of started drinking around my birthday, but I remember the peace of having months and months of sobriety that summer. I remember going to bed and feeling at perfect peace and ease that I was going to have a really good restful night's sleep. And that's what my brain had been missing all those years. And I had no anxiety anymore. I could get on my bike and ride to work, and I started to feel valued at my job and needed, and I got a key to the store and they trusted me to open the store, and like they trusted me with some responsibility at this retail store that I was working, and it felt really great to have some sort of dignity in my life, the dignity that addiction had taken away. And so I wanted to get sober again. I wanted to get back to the meetings and get sober again after that short relapse, after that experiment, because I just knew like, oh, that's so much better than the hell that I've been through drinking. I mean, it's crazy that I even tried it again, but you know, I just needed to try it again. And then May 28th, 2014, I finally stopped taking pills. I had bought some benzos illegally at a pharmacy in Thailand, and I took a lot just in case. You know, I kept them in my house just in case, and I ended up needing to take a pill every day just in case because I was so afraid of the anxiety coming back. And the funny thing is that little pill started to cause so much anxiety. I just stopped. And I'd already gotten off of all the medications the doctors had prescribed me the year before. So I knew that I had been restored to sanity in a literal way, or at least I learned to believe in my sanity again. And I hadn't had a panic attack in so many months, probably over a year, that I trusted that I could coast without alcohol or pills, without freaking out again, because that's just the worst feeling in the world, where you think you're going to have a heart attack. And I haven't had that feeling until graduate school, when I started to drink about a gallon of coffee a day, and I realized why. So I can handle a gallon of coffee a day today and not freak out. Today, today it's been over 5 years since that time, and I just kept going to meetings, and I moved to South Korea and took a kindergarten teaching job, because that's what you should do at 6 months sober. Everyone should just go teach kindergarten in Asia, right? 6 months. Bad idea. I'm being really sarcastic. It was the most challenging thing ever for my life in sobriety, and I worked with a bunch of bullies. It was tough, but I got through that. And I did whatever it takes. And I've met the most amazing people around the world in rooms of AA and online meetings. I end up meeting a lot of you people in real life if I keep coming to these online ones, which is pretty cool. After a short teaching career in Asia, I studied to become a yoga teacher in India, in Rishikesh, India, the birthplace of yoga. And I started to live some dreams that I never even considered for myself. And these are very different dreams than I had when I was drinking. These are dreams of becoming a healer and becoming kind of enlightened. And I studied transcendental meditation, and I do it every day now, 20 minutes twice a day. And it's getting me to be a lot more sensitive to my life and aware and present. So yeah, I have these dreams that are totally different, and they're kind of given to me by, I think, a power greater than myself. I do practice prayer, and I think prayer is anything that leads me towards the divine. It's an intentional spiritual ritual that provides me some spiritual intimacy with a higher power of my understanding that I'm still continuing to kind of understand. I'm not a part of any religious culture, but I don't judge those people. I showed up in India, and the Hindus told me that God is fire, and I immediately went to my religious prejudice and just was like, you're wrong. God's not fire. God's all this other stuff oh wait, I'm not religious. I don't have to judge you. So I started to really explore my religious prejudice. And I mean, I've been to Catholic school, but that's about as religious as I've ever gotten. And my family, my parents taught me that religious people are sheep, churchgoers are sheep, and don't conform to groupthink. Like they're all conformers, and that's weak. You don't want to be like that. That was the messaging I got as a young child from my father, because he's very proud. He has narcissistic personality disorder, and he doesn't talk to any of his kids. So there's a healthy sober alcoholic. So I'm judging my dad right now, because I'm mad at him. I have a resentment still. I still have resentments. I'm not perfect, and resentments are going to pop up throughout our day, years and years into sobriety. And it's just something that I've learned how to work on. I've learned how to see my role in my resentment. So the fourth column of the fourth step is what I lead with today. It's really nice to have done it so many times with different sponsors, because I lead with that fourth column of, well, how am I making myself miserable right now? How am I depressing myself with these resentments against the world that should be different? I'm so proud that if I designed you, you'd be better. Or like my dad is so, I'm learning to perceive him as very spiritually sick, and his wife, who needs to take care of him, is even sicker, in a codependent way, not an alcoholic way. And if I seek to think about them through spiritual understanding, I have a much better day than if I do it through judging and the kind of dismissive silence that my dad used on his kids when we were growing up. I don't want to transmit shame anymore. It's time for me to overcome shame. I have an opportunity. I either overcome shame or I transmit it. That's my choice today. And so I'm going to try to be loving to people and accepting of people, especially my father who transmitted his shame to me. That would be the ultimate act of overcoming this intergenerational transmission of shame. So I'm going through a lot of cool stuff these days. I moved to Minnesota from Asia to go to graduate school. I heard about addiction counseling from, overheard it in coffee, and I thought it was cool. So I applied to the best school in the world at the very first treatment center in the world of its kind that uses AA and the 12 steps, called Hazelden Betty Ford. It's in Minnesota, and it's a massive mothership of recovery that like tractor beams in all these newcomers, and it's great. I'm an addictions counselor there today, and I also work at the Dan Anderson Renewal Center as a spiritual teacher, like a teacher of principles under the master clinician Paul Anderson. So I've been chosen to work a couple of really excellent jobs. I am so excited to go to work every morning. It is really cool what we do. I get to connect very deeply with other people. I get to run group therapy sessions that are really engaging and interesting and like just a lot of fun. I absolutely love what I do. I love that I get to grow and I get to explore spirituality with science books like Carl Sagan and The Hidden Face of God, like MIT scientists' writings about like the nature of the universe. And I teach the 12-step message through kind of scientific discovery and emotional, like, and the nature of consciousness and stuff like that. So, I just get to grow and learn and seek direction from a higher power. And I lost 100 pounds and I bike 13 miles to fucking work because I'm nuts sometimes. Not when it's raining like today. And I do yoga before breakfast, and my life's really different today. I don't even like award shows in Hollywood anymore because I think that that's kind of superficial, and I don't think there is a best person or like best pretend character, like best person at like pretending to be something else seems weird to me now that I've thought about it. I never really wanted to be an actor though. I'm more of a writer, and I'm still writing my stories. I'm experiencing really difficult things with my heart and my emotions, and I'm really present to my life, and I get to live. Sometimes the experience of my life is painful. Sometimes I fall in love with people and we can never be together, and that's hard. But the experience of it's really interesting. I learn a lot about myself, and I really love getting to know other people. Last weekend was Minneapolis Twin Cities Gay Pride, and I was in line for an hour outside of a nightclub, and I'm not afraid of people anymore. I just started talking to everyone and just people around me in the lineup and getting to know them. And like, I never used to be that kind of guy that was open-minded enough to ask open-ended questions of strangers and learn about their lives. And I am now. I get to be kind of that confident guy that I've always wanted to be because I'm not afraid of people. I've done a lot of work on myself, and I'm proud to let others get to know me in a healthy way. And I'm able to make friends and connect with people from all over the world, especially, with the recovery community as my foundation. The recovery community has always been my foundation for a social life, because when I got sober, I was a complete loser. I had nothing going for me, and you guys were the only ones that would talk to me. And now, like, everybody wants to talk to me because I just keep staying sober and working the steps, and I'm trying to be loving in my actions and words, and be kind in my thoughts to people and try to understand their humanity. And anyway, I'm gonna pass because it's like 9:05. So I love you all. Have a good evening. Thanks.